Hey everyone, this is C Crypto Daily Buzz. Today is Wednesday, March 18th, 2026, and this channel brings you the most important crypto news for investors across Southeast Asia. We have got 6 important stories lined up for you today, so let's dive in. Today is FOMC Day. The Federal Reserve wraps up its 2-day meeting this afternoon with the rate decision expected at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Markets are pricing in a 94% probability that rates stay unchanged at 3.5 to 3.75%, so the hold itself will not be news. What actually matters is the updated dot plot, the Fed's projection for how many rate cuts we get in 2026. The December forecast showed just 1 cut. If that drops to 0, expect immediate selling pressure across crypto. Here is the pattern to watch. Bitcoin has dropped after 7 out of the last 8 FOMC meetings, even when the Fed actually cut rates. At the January meeting, Bitcoin fell from 90,400 to 83,300 within 48 hours, a 7.3% decline on a completely expected hold. My read on this: the biggest risk today is not the rate decision. It is the dot plot and how Jerome Powell frames the oil shock and tariff inflation during his press conference. For Southeast Asian investors, this creates a clear short-term risk window. The typical post-FOMC low forms about 48 hours after the announcement, meaning March 19th through 20th could see the sharpest dip. If you are positioned in leveraged trades, today through Friday is the time to manage your exposure carefully, not add to it. Mastercard announced it will acquire BVNK, a London-based stablecoin infrastructure company, for up to $1.8 billion, making it the largest traditional finance acquisition of a crypto firm this year. The deal includes $300 million in performance-based contingent payments, with the transaction expected to close before year-end. BVNK connects on-chain stablecoin payments to traditional fiat rails and currently operates across more than 130 countries. The deal came after a roughly $2 billion acquisition by Coinbase fell through late last year. My take on this? This is a massive validation signal. Mastercard, the second-largest payment network in the world, is making its biggest crypto bet ever. They are not buying a speculative token. They are buying the plumbing that connects stablecoins to real-world payments. For investors across Southeast Asia, a region where cross-border remittances, mobile payments, and dollar-based stablecoins are already growing rapidly, this deal signals that stablecoin infrastructure will become as mainstream as credit card processing within the next few years. Watch for Visa to respond with its own acquisition. The stablecoin payment race between the two giants is now fully underway. The Ethereum Foundation announced a new solution called Fast Confirmation Rule, or FCR, that will reduce deposit times from Ethereum Layer 1 to Layer 2 networks and exchanges to just 13 seconds. That is an 80 to 98% reduction from current wait times, which can take anywhere from several minutes to over 15 minutes depending on the network and exchange. FCR works by counting validator attestations within a single slot rather than waiting for multiple block confirmations, and the Foundation expects to roll it out within the coming months. My assessment: this is a meaningful quality-of-life improvement that addresses one of Ethereum's biggest user complaints: slow deposit times. For users in Southeast Asia who frequently move funds between Layer 2 networks like Arbitrum or Optimism and centralized exchanges, 13-second confirmations will make Ethereum significantly more competitive with faster chains like Solana. Combined with the upcoming Fusaka upgrade, Ethereum's roadmap is finally starting to close the speed gap that has been losing it market share. We still have 3 more important stories to cover. Let's continue. All right, let's move on to the next 3 stories. Crypto gift card platform Bitrefill has disclosed a major cyber attack that occurred on March 1st, with the company confirming the breach shows many similarities to previous attacks attributed to North Korea's Lazarus and Bluenoroff groups. The attack began through a compromised employee laptop, and while Bitrefill says customer data exposure was limited, some funds were drained from the platform. Bitrefill is widely used in Southeast Asia, particularly in the Philippines and Vietnam, where users buy prepaid mobile credits and gift cards using Bitcoin and Lightning Network payments. My take on this: every major hack attributed to North Korean groups in 2025 and 2026 has started the same way: compromised employee devices, then lateral movement into treasury wallets. This is a reminder that even well-known legitimate platforms are targets. If you use services like Bitrefill, do not store large balances on any third-party platform. Use them for transactions, not as a wallet. The broader lesson for the industry: employee-level security, not just code audits, is the weakest link in the chain. The U.S. Commodity Futures Trading Commission issued a landmark no-action letter to Phantom, the popular Solana-based self-custodial wallet, confirming that it does not need to register as a broker. This means Phantom can enable its users to access regulated derivatives markets, like futures and options, directly from the wallet, without Phantom itself being classified as an intermediary. This means Phantom can enable its users to access regulated derivatives markets, like futures and options, directly from the wallet, without Phantom itself being classified as an intermediary. The ruling specifically states that Phantom software passively connects users to registered futures brokers and at no point holds, controls, or has custody of user assets. My assessment: this is a huge win for the self-custody movement. For the first time, a major U.S. regulator has formally drawn a line between building wallet software and being a financial intermediary. This sets a regulatory precedent that other wallet providers, MetaMask, Trust Wallet, and emerging wallets popular in Southeast Asia, will almost certainly try to follow. For everyday crypto users in this region, this ruling means the door is opening for self-custodial wallets to become gateways to regulated financial products, not just token storage. Five U.S. regional banks, including Huntington Bancshares, First Horizon, M&T Bank, KeyCorp, and Old National, are jointly building a tokenized deposit platform called the Carry Network. The system runs on ZKsync's private permissioned blockchain called Previdium. It allows banks to convert customer deposits into blockchain tokens that settle instantly between institutions around the clock. Critically, these tokens remain classified as bank deposits, meaning they stay under existing regulations and FDIC insurance. The network is planned for official launch later this year. My take on this: this is the banking industry's answer to stablecoins. Instead of using USDC or USDT, banks want their own tokenized deposits that keep money inside the traditional banking system while still offering the speed of blockchain settlement. For Southeast Asian investors watching the stablecoin space, this is an important signal. If U.S. banks succeed in building their own blockchain payment rails, it could reshape how dollar-denominated transactions flow across borders, including into markets like the Philippines, Singapore, and Indonesia. This is not a threat to crypto. It is validation that the technology works. Before we wrap up, here is a quick recap of today's 6 stories. Story 1. The Fed wraps up its March meeting today. The dot plot and Powell's tone on inflation will drive the next 48 hours. Story 2. Mastercard acquires stablecoin firm BVNK for $1.8 billion, the biggest TradFi to crypto deal of the year. Story 3. Ethereum's FCR upgrade will cut Layer 1 to Layer 2 deposit times down to 13 seconds. Story 4. Bitrefill confirms a North Korea-linked cyber attack from March 1st with limited data exposure. Story 5. The CFTC rules that Phantom Wallet is not a broker, a landmark win for self-custodial wallets. Story 6. 5 U.S. regional banks are building a tokenized deposit network on ZKsync for stablecoin-style payments. This video is for information and education only and is not financial advice. All investment decisions and risks are your own responsibility. If this video was helpful, please subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on the notification bell. For real-time alerts and trading signals, join our Telegram channel, link in the description. See you in the next one.